All right, everybody. Episode 175 of the Folletonians. Eric in Overland Park, Kansas. Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool. Yes, Ped. That's right, Ped. He's back. How's it going, Ped?
Hello.
That's loud.
I th I think I should stay away because it's obvious that we actually win when I'm not on the show. And then when I am back on the show, we lose. So maybe I should just stick to
And
beans.
here all along, I thought it had something more to do with maybe like Silva and Destin.
I don't like to, you know, point fingers, but
Because you don't have enough of them, or what?
I don't. Well, yeah,
Because you
I
only
do
because
like
you
to
only
point
have
fingers,
eight
obviously.
fingers and two thumbs, and
Mm,
and we've conceded double that already this season.
yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It
It's
used to
very
be fun. It
confusing.
used to be fun to watch Everton, didn't it? It used to be fun. Now it's just feels like a job again.
Well, it was the Wolfsburg match was fun. The first
Yeah.
two matches of the month were fun. Um,
Were they?
you know, I yeah, I think so. The results
Even the
were
games
good.
we win 4-1 are a bit of a struggle, to be honest. That Wolfsburg game wasn't a complete picnic. It had its moments.
I enjoy 7 goals for and 1 against
I I do, yeah.
in 180 minutes, but that's just me. I could be weird. I don't enjoy the flip side of that
No, and
in 6 goals
the flip side
against
is
and 2-4
the flip
and
side's becoming dramatic.
yeah, yeah. It's a weird show. I mean, because there's so much that has happened since the last time I talked to you. Uh, we didn't get to go over the Wolfsburg match. We didn't get to go over um, the West Brom match.
But that's why you had James here, who I'm sure did a
Yeah,
remarkable job of
yeah, he filled in.
compensating for my loss.
Yeah, filled in remarkably well. I mean, he does a great job for us with the match reviews, and he stepped it up and in 2 weeks in a row filled in for you, and you know,
And I thank him for that.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, James. I really just don't know what to talk about as far as these last two matches because the lineup in the Palace match, you're thinking, okay, they haven't won yet.
Mm.
New retread manager, and so let's rest set some of our key players, get them healthy and fit, and some much needed rest, and then go forward in the cup tie.
Much needed rest, really. September. Does anyone really need a rest? I mean,
Uh,
that would be my sort of.
yeah, but at this time, we've never had this many matches in the past 4 years.
No,
This
and I appreciate that, but I still think that um I still think that yes, players need to be rested or need to be changed because certainly I don't think rest is the right word. I think some players need to be played to gain match fitness, to get up to the level that they're not at already, and the manager has to pick and choose. Where I think the manager has got wrong is that he has picked and choose the wrong players for the wrong games, in my opinion. I just think he's made a couple of mistakes that he didn't really need to, and it's led to performances that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in these two matches, they are negative results for us. Um, the goal, the early goal. I mean, and for Lukaku getting on the score sheet against Palace was great.
Mm.
Um, it almost felt too easy.
Well, basically, his team he set out. It was strange, but there was a purpose to it. He brought in Natsu and he brought in Osman, and he the way he played, it was strange because obviously Eto was in there as well, and
Yeah,
I'm obviously we had no Coleman either, so meant Stones going over to the right, which we'll speak about in a moment. But to have Atsu and Neto on the pitch and Osman, it actually left us quite narrow, and not having
sure.
Coleman on the right left us quite narrow as well. And he was using Osman as like the playmaker playing behind Lukaku and trying to thread that ball through to him. And that's exactly what happened for the first goal.
Yeah,
A nice ball through by Osman, and Lukaku gets one-on-one and finishes immaculately, like you would expect a £28 million striker to do. But then Palace sort of closed that gap. They got wise to what Everton were trying to do, and they closed the gap, and we didn't adapt. We didn't change things. Uh, you know, having Eto on almost like playing on the wing and Atsu cutting inside. It just felt very unbalanced. And all it took really was one long punt down the pitch and a one header, and Crystal Palace get themselves a penalty, and suddenly they're back in the game, and the Everton players looked very, very deflated after that happened, and couldn't really find a way of picking themselves up, because once they'd scored, they just passed it round and didn't really do anything with any kind of intensity, and that's what really annoyed me more than anything else. Was there's such a lack of intensity that
yeah. There's a definite
it should
Lottie
be like
dog
that.
kind of mentality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and we've seen that before this season, and the lack of tempo is so annoying, because it was part of last season, pretty much early on in the season, where we had that lack of tempo, where players were getting used to the system, and Palace away is a really good example of it, where went there and just passed and passed and passed, and really just couldn't get around the back of them because we had the passing was so slow. So I think that's the thing that's really annoying at the moment. It's almost like we've gone back 12 months and we're readjusting how to play the way we've been playing, and I can't really put my finger on why it is. Well,
Pinar.
no,
Pinar
I mean,
being out is a
you
big
can't,
deal.
yeah, but Pienaar was out for a lot of the time last season. I mean, I think the only thing you can sort of put it down to is the fact that there are a lot of players, and we've mentioned this numerous times, that are all at different stages of fitness, whether that be
Hmm.
because they come back from the World Cup injured, or pre-season just wasn't good enough, as we've said many a time. So
Yeah,
uh,
I mean the difference between Pinar out this year and Pinar out last year is De La Feu. He was young, a little bit naive, but willing to and somewhat capable of dribbling at people, using pace, just trying stuff. And Atsu isn't there yet. He looks very cautious, very timid on the ball. Pretty much everything went backwards from him. Morales being out, there was just nobody there to pick up the ball. Barkley injured. There's nobody there to dribble at somebody to make someone uncomfortable.
no, I agree about Barkley. I think Barkley's a big miss. I don't think Delafeu was really at the stage this time last season though either. Though I think Barkley is a massive miss, and obviously continues to be a massive miss, because he's fundamental to the way we play,
Right.
which hasn't been mentioned enough. I mean, just the way he would be so so alive in midfield, moving the ball from midfield to the forwards, has been just not there this season. And Naismith, is sort of his replacement, doesn't play the same way. He plays from the front to the back, whereas Barkley was playing from the back to the front, and we are missing that
Right.
little bit of a buzz in midfield, that player to move the ball. As I said, but I also think the fact that we are playing essentially four forwards in most games doesn't really help us. I mean, it's supposed to be an offensive move, but it's leaving us defensively in such a position that it doesn't really matter. I mean, you look at the game there on Sunday. We started the game with Lukaku, Eto, Atsu, and Osman. And
Right.
Osman really now hasn't really got the pace to get himself around the pitch. I mean, some will say he never had, but he can't contribute defensively. So it leaves you with, again, McCarthy and Barry trying to do all the defensive work, and
Right.
it's simply not working. It is simply not working, and a lot of people are scratching their heads, and I don't understand why people are scratching their heads. I think it's staring everyone in the face what the problem is. I think, and I said this a few weeks ago, I think before the West Brom game, I think what needs to happen is a midfielder, a real midfielder needs to go into midfield, and it has to become a 4-3-3. And the quicker
Yeah.
that happens, and the quicker we get back to some normality, because that wouldn't harm the way we're playing. Because okay, Barkley is such a good player that he can't be replicated. He can't be replicated for £50 million by the looks of it, and you're gonna have to sort of bite the bullet and say, right, you're gonna have to play a basic midfielder in there, and sort of the forwards are gonna have to just concentrate on being forwards, but that's fine because they know what their job is then, and then the midfield knows what its job is, and then McCarthy and Barry will have less work to do, and then the fullbacks will be able to get up the pitch more, and I think it'll just leave us more balanced. And I think what it'll get back to is keeping clean sheets, and we score goals. We can score. We've proved that this
Yes.
season. We can score goals, and I think if we can start keeping clean sheets like we did at West Brom, we'll go on a good run. But we're facing, like, tough teams over the next few weeks, where
Sure.
if we don't have a balance, then we're going to find ourselves in trouble. Now, I'm not suggesting we're going to find ourselves in the kind of trouble that can lead to relegation or anything like that. Just trouble that means that we're
Lose
going to
touch
be
of
no.
the place
Yeah,
that we want to be.
exactly. And it can become a very, very long season if you don't have things to strive for. It really can. It can become long and dull, and
It's going to
it's
make it
going
hard
to
for us to talk about it.
yeah, and it's going to be hard for the club to sell games, and it's going to be hard for the club to sell merchandise and all the other things, and then suddenly that has a detrimental effect on the next season, and everything rolls into each other. And for me, I just think it needs a bit of fine tuning. I think all the players are there in the squad. I just don't think he's using them properly at the moment. I mean, the example from the weekend is that he left Naismith out and he left Morelos out, who'd both
Hmm.
played on the Thursday. Now,
Yep.
listen, I'm sure there was a reason why they were left out. They have all kinds of fitness monitoring now, and that tells managers when players are at the peak and when they need to be left out and all those things. But Naismith came on for 25 minutes. Morelos came on for 25 minutes. Now, fine, 25 minutes after they just played on the Thursday night. Neither of them took part on Sunday, on
Right.
Thursday after the Sunday. So it leaves you scratching your head. Why, what? Couldn't they have started this game if Roberto Martinez's plans for Tuesday were already in his mind? I struggle with that. I don't quite understand that. I think th- uh, after Thursday, Sunday was an opportunity maybe to put in someone like Besic, um, play him in that game, use him, or use and one or the other of Morales and Naismith. But to gamble on Atsu coming in, Etu starting his first game with Lukaku and Osman playing in there against the team that, okay, haven't been brilliant this season, but we seen what they could do last season when they came to Goodison, and
Right.
it
And you know
feels
that
like.
they're going to sit back. You know that they're not going to push the the action forward. They're going to wait for a mistake. That's just how they were going to be set up all along.
Yeah, and even when they went 1-0 down, you never felt like they were panicking or worrying about what was going on, because we were never threatening them. And the longer that went on, the more they must have grown in confidence, very much like Leicester did in the first game.
Sure.
Nothing's happening. They don't look like scoring, and they can start taking one or two more chances. And it wasn't even a chance, it was just a long punt down the field. It falls between Stones and Tim Howard. It doesn't get dealt with, and the player's down, and it's a penalty. And you know, you get into half time, 1-1 and a half, you've completely dominated, and you're just scratching your head, thinking, well, how can we how can we improve? Where do we need to improve, and how do we up the pace to get back in this game?
Uh, it's really good questions. Um, Coleman out uh, with a concussion, hurt. Definitely left us um, looking to attack pretty much from the center of the pitch. There, as you mentioned, there was no width. There was absolutely nobody getting chalk on boots. There's nobody wide.
Mm.
There was no one getting it. We were not getting around behind defense. Um, if it wasn't for the quick through ball by Osman, it's really hard to think of any other moment in that match where we truly threatened their goal again.
Yeah, I mean, that was the most worrying thing, is that, see, when we go 1-0 up like that now, I really just want to go and kill the game. I really do. I just want to go and kill the game like Liverpool did last season in so many games. Go and kill the
Yeah,
game.
get it won by half three. Yeah, then,
Get it, yeah,
yeah.
get it won, get it over, and then use the rest of the time to
To
play,
practice.
yeah, to play the football. And that's not happening. We're going 1-0 up and then sitting back and then just pass and pass and pass and pass. And it's simply not working. And the most annoying thing is, towards the end of the game, when we needed to get back in the game, we suddenly upped the tempo. We brought Morales on, who started running at people and making a
Hmm.
difference. And you just think, why can't we do that when it's 1-0? Why can't we go for the throat when it's 1-0? Last season, Roberto Martinez had this thing of almost using the first half as a sort of as just a feeler, getting an idea of how the other team played. In the second half, we go out and beat teams.
Right.
This season, teams are not giving us a chance to do that, or our form isn't um, good enough to do that. And
Yeah.
you just got to get through games by doing the basic things. We've got a good enough team. We've proved that last season. We've got good enough players, but for one reason or another, they're all just out of a line. There's no balance. There's no momentum. There's no tempo. No tempo, no high tempo, and
Well,
that really has to change.
yeah, a couple of stats to back up what you're saying about how last season it was first half field out, second half outmanage, outplay, and put teams away. This year, from a winning position, we have dropped 7 points in 5 matches.
Mm.
From a losing position, we have picked up 0 points in 5 matches.
From a
We've
winning position.
from a winning position, we've dropped 7 points
Mm.
so far this year. So we've scored first in five or in 4 out of the 5 matches,
Mm. Yeah, there's only
and
the
and we
Chelsea
and
game
we've
we
we've only
behind.
got and so of those matches we've scored first in, we've only picked up 5 points. We've dropped 7.
Which is
That's
very
not good.
which is very unlike us, and as you mentioned there, being ahead against Leicester being ahead against Arsenal,
Against
being ahead against Crystal Palace. I mean, and
being
not
ahead
not
against,
win,
yeah,
not winning the games. Um, it's
having a
it's
two-goal lead
two at
against
home as
Arsenal.
well. Two games at home, and
Yeah,
not it's just really really poor. And I know it's early season, and no one's panicking, but there seems to be glaring issues on the pitch that just don't seem to be getting addressed at the moment. And I don't know. I don't know if it's Roberto Martinez's arrogance, but he said before the West Brom game that he was going to go back to basics after the Chelsea game. And I think, as I mentioned before, going back to basics is putting an extra midfielder in, making sure you're really, really hard to score against, and going up the other end and scoring a couple of goals. And I think if you
yeah,
do that and you do that consistently, you're going to do very well in the league. That's sort of like the be all and end all. And we've got a squad that can do it. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether it's his arrogance and it's his saying this is my philosophy. I'm not changing things. But I don't think you do have to change things. I just think you put another midfielder in and you just make a little bit solid, and everything else will fall into place. We'll still score goals. We'll still play good football. If Boss, if Bassage plays, he's already proved he's a good tidy footballer who can keep the ball and move the ball. And I think you, especially with the games ahead away from home, going back to those basics will be really important.
yeah. It's do we even want to talk about the Swansea match?
Well, I do from the point of view that I, I can understand the team he picked. I can understand it. Um, what annoyed me is what I've already mentioned is the fact that he'd left he left Naismith out and he left Morales out and didn't use them. So again,
Hmm.
I find it very very strange that they weren't
Right.
used. Um, the lineup, I mean, no problems with it. I mean, Alcaraz needs game time. Great to see Oviedo back.
Yes.
This stand playing, I think, means
His
that
last
he
match.
won't he won't be playing in the derby. Hibbert, I'll mention him in a moment. Mickey Gibson needs game time. Great to see Garbutt in there. Great to see Besic in there. Good to
Yep.
see Atsu in there. Eto. Um, yeah, no problem with that. Pretty much. Hibbert, not sure why he played Hibbert. I can't quite get my head around why he played him. I'm quite disappointed he played him actually because um, he's got Browning there on the bench, and we're at the moment we are struggling, and we're needing. What last Sunday told me was that Stones needs to be left at centre back for two reasons. One, because he's probably our best centre back at the moment, and
Right.
number two, he's not actually that good a right back. Or when he does play right back, he doesn't play it like Coleman plays it. He plays it like he's a centre back playing right back,
Right.
which is what he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Um,
And against Crystal Palace, he definitely had the ball forward in a position where you would think Seamus Coleman is going to create something, be a danger, cause some problems, and he looks completely out of sorts. And it's just because he's not that player.
Well, when he plays right back, what he does is he holds a centre back line, so he stays in line with the centre backs. Well, if you watch Seamus Coleman when
He's
going
almost a
for,
midfielder.
when
Yep.
Barry gets the ball, Seamus Coleman is past him and gives him an option. Now every time on Sunday Barry got the ball, Stones was behind him, and either had to make up that 10 yards or Barry had to play backwards, which basically meant that their left winger could push straight up on him, and
Hmm.
that caused problems going both ways.
Right.
So so basically, I'd like to have seen Brown play there. I think he's more of a. I think he's got more pace to get up and down. Uh, and let's be honest, Hibbert just doesn't fit the Roberto Martinez mold.
Right.
He just simply doesn't fit it. He's just not. He's not a very good passer, and he's not very good going forward. He's been a decent defender, but from what we've seen on Tuesday, I think that might have gone now. Montero just destroyed him in and out,
Yeah.
and before they scored their first goal, he'd been done about 3 times already. So
Right.
that to me just proves Hibbert's gone, finished for me. He's finished.
So
Um,
Browning should have been in for Hibbert. Um, Pretty obvious to everyone, even Americans, that Tim Howard has not been um, Captain America self superhero in goal for Everton so far this season in the league. What's that say about Robles that Howard got the start in a match that, in hindsight, looks as though we really didn't care a whole lot about it?
Well, you're right about saying they didn't really care about it. It was clear that this was a glorified friendly for Roberto Martinez. He just didn't want to win it, which again disappointed me. Disappointed me. He doesn't want to win it. But we've mentioned these guys. He had Kone on the bench. He's got players making their first starts or the second starts. Got players coming back. Howard's been horrific this season. He's been horrific, absolutely horrific, and there was times last season and the season before that I've made me feelings known about him that I think he's a very, very in and out goalkeeper. On his day, he can be magnificent. He proved that on Thursday night,
Mm-hmm.
and then Sunday and Tuesday, for me, he's had a nightmare, hasn't he? In both games, the one which he drops in the Palace game. Okay, he'll claim he got fouled, but go
Never
through the
did.
player, make yourself known that you've been fouled. Don't just jump and cry about it. I think he
You're
may have gone to. I think he might have gone to Roberto Martinez, and I think he might have made it clear to him that he won this game, felt he needed to play,
more time, just time on the pitch.
felt like he's that kind of Tim Out doesn't go hiding. I mean, that's one thing about him. He doesn't go
Right.
hiding. He doesn't go missing. Heart on his sleeve. Seen that against Chelsea when he stood up to Costa.
Yeah, given the
Doesn't let
armband on against Swansea even.
Yeah. Um, you know, Obviously went out there and said, no, I want to play. I don't want to be rested, and uh, which is admirable. But again, he was awful. I'm sorry, but he was awful. He was awful for the first goal, and he was awful for the third goal. So in the long run, I don't know if it has done him any good, and I don't know if it's done us any good. Um,
Second goal, he didn't really have much chance. I mean, Distan's diving
no,
header was pretty
Distan did
magnificent.
that. Yeah,
That was a
Distan.
pretty magnificent
Yeah,
diving header.
yeah,
Unlucky for him that it went off the bar and not into the postage stamp because, I mean,
yeah.
the 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 power he got and to be able to cover the distance he did on that
Mm.
header was fantastic.
What's worrying me more about Howard is than anything else is that he has a game like Thursday where he's magnificent, and I think he equalled the record of number saves
In
in
an
the
Europa League tie,
Europa
yeah.
League game, and then he does that on Sunday, and that to me, that's the worry, is that one game he can be magnificent and the next game be awful. That to me is worse than just being on a run of being awful, because that's almost like age catching up with you. That's like you've had one good game and then 3 days later you can't hack it. That, and your concentration's off or whatever. That's
Right.
worse for me. Um, and the worrying thing is, Joel's not in any position to come in and be Everton's number one. So that's another worry at the moment. And obviously you've mentioned Distan there with his magnificent diving header.
It was
Um,
it was beautiful.
oh yeah, beautiful. Um, he's another one. It's almost been unbelievable a bit beginning this season the way we've had Howard, Distan, and Jagielka almost simultaneously just implode
Expire.
on us. Expire
Yeah.
is definitely a word you could use. For
Past the
me,
use-by date.
I would say Distan now is no longer
First choice.
first choice of a back four. I think it's got to be Jags and it's got to be Stones. And if Coleman can't play, something else has to happen at right back rather than Stones. You
Is that
have to leave.
McCarthy? Is it McCarthy at right
Um,
back?
well, this is why I was disappointed that Browning didn't play because
Sure, get him some game time. See what he does. Maybe he comes in and surprises like Garbutt did. Garbutt did better than anybody else in the back.
yeah, I thought Garbutt had a really good game, and I just
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
I just
So
you don't you could Browning could have come in and he could have surprised the manager. The other
exactly.
option, the other options as you mentioned there are possibly McCarthy, which you don't really want to lose him in midfield. Besic could be a good option for playing in there, because that's actually a good way of getting him into playing into the system and getting to know other players. And but again, I think that's more down to the players' discipline than anything else. Um, but we've got problems at the moment, and they need to be addressed. And I don't think just moving players around helps. As I've mentioned there, I want to see Stones in the back because I think that's where he should be left now. He's very much the present and the future for Everton. So get him in there next to Jags. Let him learn the leadership side of the game, and
Hmm.
let Jags sort of um, be helped by what he has to offer. Also, when Stones plays centre back, he offers a lot to the team as well. He can
Sure.
come out with the ball. It means that Barry doesn't have to drop into the defence and almost become a third centre back, meaning that Barry's further up the pitch. I think we spoke about this last season. Barry's
Yeah,
further
a
up the
couple
pitch,
times.
and things can happen um, from the back that don't leave you exposed. So listen. There's so many little things that need to just be put right. I don't
But
think
there's
it's
a
a it's
lot of little things that seems to be adding up over these past two matches that just were too much to overcome.
no. I just think that a lot's been complicated by the fact that we've got so many games,
Hmm.
and
But
I
it's
think
not like it's a surprise that we have these games, bed. It's
no,
not
no,
like
but I
it's
think
all of a sudden, oh crap, we have 5 matches in 14 days. This is
no, but I think what Roberto Martinez has done is he's tried to he's tried to meet the problem head on. What he's tried to do is he's gone right. I've got a squad. I need to play a certain amount of them because I need to play some to get fit. I need to play some because they haven't played many games, and I need to keep my first 11 fresh. So what he's gone in there, he's gone right. I'm going to swap them. I don't really need to swap them as such, but I am going to swap them rather than coming to a point where we get 3 or 4 games down the line. And I find that I've got a player injured, and the guy who's coming in to replace him isn't fully fit. So he's trying to meet the problem in the middle almost,
right.
which is fine, but it hasn't quite worked.
Yeah, you gotta do the foundation work for later on in the year. The road trips to uh, Krasnodar, as we'll get into in a while in a little bit. You've got to be able to almost half your squad and be able to say, okay, squad A, you're playing today. Squad B, you're playing in 3 days, halfway across Europe and or all the way across Europe, and it's gonna be
It's
it's gonna be
it's about
interesting. It's a head scratcher.
it's
It's
about
it's
knitting it all together, isn't it? That's what it's about. It's about knitting all these players together so that they can all so that you want all your players at the same level. You want all
Yep,
all of them fit and at the same level. And if they're all fit and at the same level, everyone should be interchangeable. You should be able to take player A out and replace him with player B. You should be able to take the likes of, if there's a game on a Thursday and a game on a Sunday, you should be able to take possibly Baines out and replace him with Luke Garbutt. You should be able to take Barry out and replace him with Gibson. You should be able to take McCarthy out and replace him with Besic if needed. That's the
right.
ideal situation.
And
But
that's
it's
where it would have been nice to have been able to see if Browning was an option to
exactly
give Coleman a platoon spot um, in Russia coming up to just to see could I trust him in Krasnodar if Coleman plays in the derby and we don't really want to send him all the way out to Europe just to come back and then have to play at Old Trafford. So
Hmm.
just confusing.
But and because Tuesday was such an opportunity, because it almost felt like it was written off before. Well, when I say written off, I mean Everton controlled the game till they scored, and then
Right.
once they scored, apart from the Lukaku chance just after half time, it never felt like we were ever going to score. But again, there's 10 minutes to go, and he puts Osman on when he's got Kone sitting on the bench, and you think just
Right.
put Kone on for 10 minutes, give him ten
Yeah.
minutes, get him used.
What's it matter at that point?
Yeah, get him used to playing football, get him used back on the pitch, get him used to it, rather than saying in the last 10 minutes of the
Yeah.
Krasnodar game or the last 10 minutes of the at Old Trafford or whatever. That to me just
Right.
felt again like
This match on Tuesday, down 3-0, has very little significance compared to the next three matches.
exactly, and
So
as I say, it was just strange. It just so many
mhm.
little strange decisions.
Yeah, big picture view of it was very confusing. Hopefully, no.
Just
Hopefully,
yeah. Listen,
who knows?
we
All right, let's
the manager knows more than we do. That's it at the end
exactly,
of the day.
and
But from
and
the
and that's
outside,
our
it just
paychecks go to prove that, Ped.
yeah, and but from the outside, it just feels a little bit confusing because you just think, well, again, why did you play Kone? Why
You think you
didn't?
could get a sit down with him soon? That would be great.
Hmm,
Figure out what's going on with that.
I don't know if I could hold my tongue, but maybe who knows?
All right. We've beaten this horse a little bit too much, I think. Trying to not be complete Debbie Downers on everything. It's early doors. It's just confusing. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. That was almost 40 minutes of talking about two
Hmm.
games that I didn't want to talk about.
Oh well.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're back on Follow-Tonians, brought to you by Abscess Services Limited. Oh, it's our most favorite time of the year, Ped. It's time to preview the away derby,
Oh, fun, fun, fun. At least this
isn't
time
it?
it's come early.
Yeah. Matches have flip-flopped for the first time in quite a few years to where
Yeah.
home tie is away, uh, or is second, and the away tie is first in the fixture list.
Hmm. Do you know what the most annoying thing about this game is?
Martin Atkinson.
Apart from Martin Atkinson, it's the fact that they're in such poor form as well. That
Oh
is the
yeah,
most annoying
but
thing.
no, that's always the case though.
They've
Anytime
thrown their
any Yeah, anytime they're playing horrible, let's have Everton play them. They'll get right. It's
they've
like
lost the
if
last
you're
two.
yeah to Villa,
Mm. And
yeah,
West Ham.
and West
They've
Ham,
drawn. They've drawn in the League Cup, needing to score
four,
87 penalties to go through.
14, yeah, 14 to 13 penalties. Go
So
15 rounds in penalties. How?
this would have been the absolute ideal situation to go there in form and beat them. But I suppose if we were in form, we wouldn't beat them. So
Right, you
maybe
have to throw form out of the window. So, um, maybe it was good that we have lost our previous two. Who knows? Who
who knows?
knows?
But
Who knows? No,
no, I
I
don't
sure
know.
as heck don't know. I have no
I don't know.
idea.
I just know that they're not in good form whatsoever, and really, if we can go there with our first 11, we could possibly beat them. Dare I
He,
say?
who, I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I can hear that noise yet. To me, it seems kind of like a Ben Folds song for the defense in the Battle of Who Could Care Less, and it's going to be, I think, about like 8-5.
Yeah, it
Someone's
feels like
scoring
that.
8 goals. So one of the teams is scoring 8 goals in this match.
I and you know what? I mean, it's weird because last season we went there, we were on such a high, we were only a point behind them. You know, we missed out the week before going above them. I think it was at West Brom. Manes,
Oh, hey,
Palace.
Robot Pet. How's it going, Robot Pet? Just on top of all of that. Hopefully it doesn't last as long. Like it's been doing pretty good on us, so go ahead and keep talking. That way I can know whenever it's gone away.
Let's be honest, it's the first time it's happened in
Yeah,
3 weeks.
it's bad. Robot Pet. Who would have thought? I'd missed Robot Pet.
Mm.
Okay, talk. I might have cleared up.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yep,
5.
yep, we're good. We're good. All right, let's key this up again. 5.
Go on then. Yeah,
Someone's
it
scoring
feels
eight
like that.
goals. So one of the teams is scoring 8 goals in this match. Okay, and then so you can just like
Hmm.
go for it.
Yeah, I mean it's mad because last season, you know, we went in there went with all the confidence. Roberto said he's gonna go in there and not be afraid, and he puts players in that are injured, and we end up getting beat 4-0. And um,
Can we bring Barkley back for this match just because?
he was probably as
Again,
fit. He's probably as fit as he was last season, put it that way.
right.
Um, so um,
What about Pinar? Where's he at?
he's apparently going to be having a fitness test, as is Seamus Coleman. I mean, of the pair of them, I just hope Seamus Coleman plays because we just really need the lad back. I think he makes
Yeah.
such a difference, and I just really hope that we go in there and we are solid, because I just think that if we concede one, the way we are at the moment, we could just fall apart. But you know they're not in good form. It's hard to know who's going to be playing for them. Whether
What?
Sturridge,
Yeah.
I think Sturridge probably. I've got a feeling he'll be on the bench. You know, he was on the bench last season against us and managed to come on and score. So I think just the threat of him having on the bench maybe sometimes is psychologically, important for clubs. So it could be a very, very open game, or you know what, it could be both clubs could think, both managers could think, right, I don't want to lose this. I don't think it's the right time for either team. I don't think either of them want it. But if one of them wins it, it could be a really good springboard for them. So although both teams don't want it, if one of them wins, that'll be the platform for the rest of the season. I mean, especially if we can win. If we can win it, go to Russia and get something, and then go to Old Trafford next week, thinking, well, we've just won a Merseyside derby. You know, we've been to Old Trafford last year and had no problems. Manchester United are shipping goals for fun. Why not? So it's a really important game from that side of things. So um, it's just a worry,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's just a
Oh,
worry.
it's just gut wrenching, and I don't know if I'm happy or glad that it's the lunchtime kick on Saturday for you, which means it's 6:45 a.m. for me, and even earlier in California, 4:45 for everybody in California. Um,
At least you can go back to bed and like forget it ever happened if the worst comes to the worst.
there's no going if it's like last year Anfield Derby. There's no going back to bed after that. It's just mope and sulk and just gut, just wrenching, just pain. It's just not. It's just uncomfortable. Um,
Hmm.
and
I just hate them. I just hate derbies. I don't know
yeah,
anyone can like them. It's just
can
it's
they
like
get relegated soon? That way we don't
like
have to play them anymore.
it's like self harm, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, then the draw for the Capital One Cup next round comes out, and if we would have happened to somehow manage to beat Swansea, we would have just gotten to go to Anfield again. So,
Mm, mm.
yay for losing that match. One less time we have to play Liverpool at Anfield this season.
Yeah, but let's not be defeatist. Come on, if we've got our best 11 out,
Our best 11 against their best 11 this year so far, I think we are a better team.
we didn't
If
suddenly just become rubbish. We've just been rubbish.
it's very confusing, very just inconsistent. And I think that's just the word that I'm going to use right now is it's inconsistent. And like you
Mm.
said, Tim Howard is magnificent one match and completely horrible the next, and so you don't know what you're going to get whenever the ball is kicked, and
It's
it's
like
confusing.
a box of chocolates.
Yeah, run Forest run.
There is a consistency in our rubbish, though. You know, in our rubbishness, we have been consistently rubbish in defence. So it's about getting that right. At the end of the day, you get that right. And as I mentioned, I would play Besic on Saturday. I would play him. I would play him in there because I think Gibson is not up to
Or
for
if we look at the West Brom lineup, what changes do you make to that?
well, what I would do is
Coleman's fit. He plays right back. Stones and Jags in the middle.
mm,
Baines on the left.
mm,
Barry and McCarthy.
yeah.
Lukaku, Naismith, Morales. Who's your other two?
It would be this would be my team: Howard, Coleman, Stones, Jagielka, Baines,
Yep.
Besic,
Okay.
Naismith,
Yep.
Morales,
Yep.
McCarthy,
Yep.
Barry,
Yep.
Lukaku.
Okay.
And the way I would work it would be back four, three in front of them of Besic, Barry,
McCarthy and Barry
McCarthy. I would have Naismith
in the center.
playing more down the centre. I would have Morales playing on one side, and I would have Lukaku playing on the other side. But obviously, that is a fluid formation, so that Morales, Naismith, and Lukaku could be interchanging, or Naismith would play in the middle and would sit on Gerrard and try and get the ball off him, very much like he did against Arsenal, where he was getting off Arteta and
Yeah.
stopping the breaks coming from there. And then it's up to the midfield three to shift over from one side to the other, but also Morales working back, Lukaku working back, and Naismith working back, and just to get more of a the fluid unit going forwards and backwards, because that's what's been missing, that extra man in midfield, and that's where we've been, for me, so defensively poor, because it's been coming from a lot of the times from losing the ball in midfield areas, because we've only got two players in there. One of the forwards would lose the ball, and the next minute it's in the back of our net. So I really think we need another midfielder, and I think Besic is the only one who can do it at the moment, because I think he's fit. I think he can. He's got that little bit of pace. He's got that little bit of snap. He's got that little bit of nastiness.
Fire.
He gets in people's
I
faces.
just say fire. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Osman is too slow. I think he can't do that job. I think Gibson isn't anywhere near back full fitness. The way he likes to play is too slow for the derby as it is at the moment, and I just think you need someone like Besic to be in there and getting in people's faces. I just think if we play with McGeady, he's just gonna have the ball taken off him too many times, and it's just not gonna work. And I fear that if we start with two forwards and two wingers, we're just gonna be destroyed.
If Coleman is not fit,
If Coleman is not fit, do you know what? I don't know.
is that the linchpin? Is that what our team pivots on at the moment?
See, this is such a layered question at the moment, because if he doesn't play, then he probably will shift Stones out. And if he shifts Stones out, then he's going to have to play. He's going to have to play Distant,
Distant.
and then oh god, then that's where the real problems are going to be.
So yes, the answer to that question is yes.
But I think Coleman will play. I think Coleman will play. I think
Is
he
Barry
hasn't.
not a possible option to play center half?
No, he's too slow. He's far too slow. Far too slow. Um,
Message.
I think Coleman will play. I think Coleman will play. I think it's what concussion that he's missed the last couple of games, and I think he'll play. I think Martinez has been very coy about how he's said about him, and I think he'll play. I think he's been. I think he'll
Say
make
it two
sure.
more times, and you might
Yeah,
convince me
I
that
think
you.
he'll play. I think he'll play. I really do.
Okay. I hope so.
But if Pienaar was fit, then I would play Pienaar.
Instead of Besic.
Yeah, because I think Pienaar knows how to play in these games, and I think he knows how.
Absolutely.
I think he knows how to keep the ball, and I think he knows how to.
I'd shift Morales over to the right. I'd put Lukaku in front of Pinar a little bit. Yeah.
I think if Pienaar's in there, he'll work inside for you as well as work as forward, and I think there'll be a lot more of a balance in the team. So we'll see. But if he's not, which the likeliness is he probably wouldn't be, but I'd play Besic because if you've got to play one player out of all the players we've got available, why not him? He played in the week. We've seen gradually a little bit more of him in the last couple of games.
Yes, less blind back passes is
Yeah.
good.
Martinez has brought him in slowly. He's tried to bed him in, tried to probably get him used to the pace of things that he's been used. In I'm sure in train. I mean, because don't forget he's training with Premier League players every day, so he's going to get to learn how to play against Premier League players and know when he can tackle and when he can't tackle, and so yeah, that's what I do. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Predictions.
I'm going to go for the old favourite, the old 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. That's weak sauce, man.
No, I think that's legitimate.
No, and I'm not saying it's illegitimate. I'm just saying it's weak.
I don't think it is weak. I think it's legitimate.
3-1 us.
Good man, but I don't really think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but I'm going to say it.
So why say it then? Why say it?
Because I'd rather be right, maybe, than just definitely wrong.
Okay. Should we talk about FK Krasnodar?
Because if we win 3-1, I want to be able to come back and say
I don't.
You had no faith.
If we win and I'm wrong, I couldn't care less.
Oh, I know.
I couldn't care less. Should we talk about FK Krasnodar?
No, I haven't seen that episode of Star Trek yet.
I think that's where the trebles come from, or tribbles, or whatever they're called.
The box trolls.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either. It's way far away.
All I know is that it's very, very close to the Ukraine border. Far too close for my liking for those people traveling there. Yeah, and it's
match tickets are only $2.
Oh, isn't that amazing? £2 for like
£2 for a match ticket.
That's amazing. That is really, really.
But a visa to get into the country is like £300.
Yeah. I mean, any
offsets a bit.
Any blue who's going there is just hardcore, and honestly, I give it up to them because they are.
How many points should you get if you actually go there?
Yeah, if you go there, you should be allowed
get like 10 away points for that.
Yeah, if you go to Krasnodar, you should be allowed away tickets for the rest of your life, as far as I'm concerned.
You should at least be top allocation for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you should just be able to go wherever you want and do whatever you want and just get free ale and stuff.
Flip the bird to whoever you like.
Do whatever.
Smoke bombs. Can you bring smoke
Let's
bombs in
let's
if you
not
go to
endorse. Let's,
Krasnodar?
let's not endorse no bombs.
No,
I
I'm
think
just
I
asking
think
if
the
you can.
police.
I'm
I
not
think the
saying you should.
I think the police probably hand out the smoke bombs there. So,
Probably.
should we talk about FK Krasnodar's recent form?
No,
Okay,
because
I'll give.
I have no idea.
I'll tell you what their recent form is. Their most recent game, they beat Amkar Perm 2-1 away. Um, Before that, they drew with Lille, obviously away
Yep,
in the Europa League, and they'd lost two before that. One, both at home as well. One to Dynamo Moscow, and one to FC Ufka. They beat
exactly.
they beat Sociedad 3-0 as well at home, which was a fantastic result. Um, so they've lost a couple at home recently. They're playing on Sunday. They're playing Arsenal Tula, um, which will be an
Mm,
interesting. Good old Arsenal Tula. So
yeah,
that'll be an interesting one.
the
At the
Russian
moment,
Gunners.
they're seventh in the Russian league. They've played eight. They've won
At the
four.
moment, we're all 13th in the Premier
Yeah.
League.
They've drawn two and they've lost two. As I said, two home games quite recently.
Sounds very familiar.
Mm, but yeah, they're doing a little bit better than us because they've won four games. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
players to watch out for. I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I don't know.
Does Billy Letnov play for them?
He doesn't. He does not play for them.
Okay,
They very much are like other Russian teams that they have a few like Brazilians and things.
Brazilians, yeah, that are
Yeah,
trying to get Russian passports.
yeah, and wives. Um, but apart from that, I can't really, I don't really know too much about them. I'm just looking now for the goals. Top goal scorer is João Zino. João Zino's got four
He's
goals.
not Brazilian, is he?
I think he might be. Yeah,
Might be
um,
of Portuguese descent
yeah.
there
He's
in
got
that
four
Jazzy.
goals. 4 goals in 7 games. Wanderson has got 2 goals in 5 games.
Wanda's son.
Wanderson, look out for good old Wanderson. Um,
Wanda's.
so
Yes,
yeah, they seem to
lovely.
be the top two men. I'll tell you a little bit about Jairzinho. He is Brazilian.
Hmm.
He's 25 years of age. They bought him off um, Levski Sofia, the good old Russian team, Levski Sofia,
Yeah.
where he'd actually only played
Sofia
one.
is in, like Bulgaria,
Yeah, but he'd only actually
right?
played one. He'd only played one game for them, which sounds a little bit suspicious. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
he'd only played one game for them, so that sounds like he'd been parked. Before that, he played for Recito, and he'd only actually played about 5 games for them. Sounds like some kind of funny business is going on there, if you ask me. And
Hmm. Third party
Wanderson,
ownership, maybe. Wanderson.
Wanderson
Love
is
that.
also Brazilian. He's 28. Um, yeah, and he signed in 2012. So yeah, that's Krasnodar's players for you. All
Yeah.
household names and
Let's talk a little bit about Europa League. Just I mean, match day one ended. We got the victory over Wolfsburg,
mm,
and Krasnodar and Lille drew in France, 1-1.
mm,
So we're sitting top 3 points, second and third, Krasnodar and Lille with 1 point each, and then Wolfsburg the bottom zero. If we're going to have to go to Krasnodar, which every team plays home and away, getting it over and done with in the beginning of October, end of September, this was the match day that was second on my list of when I wanted to go to Krasnodar. Either the first match day or the second match day. Um, get it over and done with. You don't have to worry about the weather.
mm.
You don't have to worry about the travel in weather. Hopefully we can get in there, pick up another 3 points. We're sitting on 6 points after 2 matches, and you don't have to worry about going there again.
Yeah, I'd take a point personally. I'd be happy with a point because I think that
It's going to be a hell of a match day
yeah,
later on
you know,
in the year for
Con-
Lille and
yeah,
Wolfsburg to get
but
there.
that's why. But I'd take a point because I just think
Sure.
conditions. I'm not talking about conditions like playing conditions weather-wise. I'm talking about getting there. Getting there. I mean, we're gonna have to leave basically after we played the derby. I mean, just think of that travelling, getting back for Old Trafford. That's like that's why they talk about the Europa League is such a bad competition. Is the fact that you've got to play in the evening time on Thursday and be back in the
Yeah.
UK to play Manchester United at Old Trafford on Sunday.
Is that
That's
why
why
we have such an early match Saturday? Is it to allow us to get out of town Saturday night?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, I think I'm not sure when they're leaving. To be honest, I don't think they'll be leaving that early. I mean, they might leave maybe
Sunday?
Monday maybe possibly, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what the traveling's like. I don't know, and I don't know how long do you actually want to be in that country. Do you know what I mean? The manager, Roberto Martinez might just be thinking, right, let's get there early.
How many time
When
zones ahead are they to where that wouldn't factor in to be able to adjust to that? Isn't it like 3 or 4?
I think it's only like 2 hours, isn't it? I think Krasnodar's 2 hours ahead or something like that. So I mean,
Yeah.
the game's on here at 5 o'clock. I think it is on Thursday. Um, so the traveling's going to be bad. I mean, that I would take a point because I just think you take a point. You get a point from your away games and you win your home games in the Europa League, then you're fine. I mean, really,
Right.
you need 3 wins in the Europa League. You need to win all your home games and maybe pick up 1 point away, and you're through in the group. So
Hmm.
if we can get a point there, and then we go to Lille, and I think we can beat Lille at their ground, we'll have thousands of our fans. I mean, I think the official
Yeah,
setup is
allocation was announced. I was going to get to that in the news.
well, that's
Allocation
just
was announced. It's like
yeah.
5,200.
Yeah, but we're going to be taking well more than that because it holds, I think, 50. And when I looked at the attendance
Their
against
average attendance is like
it's about
28.
well, and against Krasnodar it was empty, and Everton fans have already started buying tickets for the ground in bulk. So
Yeah.
I think we'll have about 10,000 at least in there. I think it's just going to be all Everton in there that day. I think
I
they're
was
going to make
talking
it
to
like
some Blues saying that the
yeah.
entire vacation, then all of their travel, match tickets, hotel to Lille was under 300 quid.
Oh, going to Lille is like you could driving to Lille is the equivalent of you probably going to work. No, it's
How many
you.
hours drive?
No, it's what I mean. Obviously, there's a body of water in between, but
Yeah, either a
it's
tunnel or a ferry, right?
you're talking people leaving Wednesday night on a bus to be there for the next morning. So
Yeah,
it's not that far really. I mean, it's
I
only
could
an
still be in Kansas,
exactly. It's an hour's flying time really.
right?
You can fly to Paris and get a train in, and you could be there in a couple of hours. So it's not that far. I'm really gutted because of the timing of it, because obviously I've just come back from being away, and um,
Your sunburn hasn't healed yet.
I didn't get sunburned. Like, nice and crisp. But then you look at that and you think it's a nice new ground, it's going to be really nice conditions. Should go there, I think, and beat them. And even if we got a point there, where I think Europa League wise, you win your 3 home games, then you should be through. Okay, you
Yeah,
might.
and we got a point out of what was most likely going to be our most difficult home game already. You would think Wolfsburg home
Yeah,
of the group would be the hardest home
yeah,
tie.
yeah, and that's going to be also our hardest away game as well, which is the irony of it. So I think we get a point out of Krasnodar, get something out of Lille, come back and beat Lille at home, and then
And
you
then who
probably
knows where we're at?
I think,
We could be sitting already with two matches to go.
yeah, yeah,
Don't
who
have to
knows?
do anything at Wolfsburg, and then we host Krasnodar on the last day. Wolfsburg and Lille are battling it out for the second spot in the group.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get ahead of
I think
ourselves.
the match schedule set up for Everton really, really favorably. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very excited about the possibility of advancing in Europe. So let's end this on a positive note.
Yeah, let's go and win the thing.
Yeah, let's just do it. Sounds good. Anything else team news wise? And we haven't really talked about a stadium. Plans to early doors on
There
that.
is nothing to talk about with the stadium. There's nothing to talk about. They've said what they want, and that's it. That's it. That's all they've done. They've said what they want. They want to go to Walton
I
Park.
want $1 million.
Exactly. So that's basically where we are. We're not anywhere. We're not anywhere else. We want to go to Walton Park, and that's it. I think Everton probably would have. I'd like to have kept it quiet a bit longer, but I think for various reasons the council had to say something just because of
Planning and zoning
planning and
and
the land. The more to do with the land more than it is more to do with
land
like
out zoning
yeah
allocations
yeah
and
yeah. So
repurposing and public hearings and
of course, yep.
yeah. Alrighty. Well, I'm glad to have you back.
It's
Thanks.
good to it's good to be back, even though
Yeah.
it's silly o'clock again.
Yeah, that's all right. It's worth it.
Yeah,
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 3 points at Anfield. I hope so. Early kick. It'll be over before we know it, so that's good too. Or we'll have all day to celebrate.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. We'll talk to you next week. Come on, you Blues. Let's go. No questions.
I know,
Nothing.
yeah. Sucks,
Very
innit?
quiet.
It's very quiet out
Nobody
there.
wants to talk to us.
People hiding. People
Where's the
hiding.
sad Hulk music when I need it? Tears.
I don't know.
Already. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.